Our passage this morning is arguably one of Jesus' most famous parables. Use the phrase Good Samaritan, and a few might call to mind the abysmal end of Seinfeld, but everyone else will know that you're talking about a rule that when you see someone in need, you help them. And yes, do that. But this passage has a deeper undercurrent to it. It's a passage about bringing things together. Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? The lawyer asks. And Jesus, being Jesus, tosses the question back at him. What is written in the law? What do you read there? The lawyer responds, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. The lawyer identifies two distinct commandments from the law and glues them together. And this answer is music to Jesus' ears. When Christ took on our human nature, bringing together God and man, earth and heaven, he unified the call to love God and to love neighbor. His incarnation erased the distinction and actually made it impossible to do one and not the other. Because in the person of Christ, you cannot choose whether you love God or love neighbor. They are inseparable. They are the same person. So the lawyer continues the conversation, driven by his professional need for precise language, and asks a clarifying question. And who is my neighbor? So he tells a story about a person who got mugged and was left injured on the side of the road. He tells the story of the priests and the Levites, representatives of the law and the prophets, the two pillars of Judaism, and how they both walk by this person in need. They don't do so because they are terrible people or they don't care. They did so out of respect for the purity laws. If they touched this injured person, they would be made ritualistically unclean. And so, being good religious leaders, they followed the rubrics and they continued on their way. But then the Samaritan, the one who would have gotten the most important of rubrics wrong, where to worship. For them, it was on Mount Gerizim. For the Jews, it was at Jerusalem. But this Samaritan was the one who correctly interpreted the law, showing mercy and hospitality to the person in need. Shockingly, it was the Samaritan who properly brought together the law and the prophets, Moses and Elijah, the two whom Jesus just stood in between one chapter earlier as his clothes radiantly shined and God said, "Listen to him." Now, at this point in the story, any Jewish person listening would have been offended. Samaritans were dead wrong about where to worship, one of the most important things to get right in Judaism. So how could they possibly be right about anything else? Jews and Samaritans were a people hopelessly divided. And yet, in this moment, in this parable, they were brought together by one thing: a sentiment that you don't treat people like that. That when you see someone in need, you do something. When you see someone that needs protection, you offer it to them. Jews and Samaritans agreeing on something. Imagine that. But that wasn't even the toughest pill for our lawyer to swallow. Within Jesus' final question to the lawyer is embedded a mandate. Christ asks, Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robber? The question was no longer, who is my neighbor? Christ challenges us to something even deeper, something even more challenging when he rephrases the question, to whom can you be a neighbor? He moves off from a passive observation of people in our orbit and challenges us to go on an active search for those in need of healing and love. It's no longer a static definition, but a dynamic bringing together of those who can help and those who are in need. Breaking down societal barriers, bringing divided people together, and healing and protecting those in need. Those are things we all need today. So in the spirit of being cordial to people with whom I agree on not much of, I will quote a Presbyterian to end today's sermon. Someone who asked, "Won't you be a neighbor?"